I tore through endless back-breaking shift and returned home in the evening with empty hands and a soul crushed by institutionalized betrayal. I'm the mother watching her child's future evaporate. The father whose sweat builds this nation, yet starves in retirement. The son or daughter orphaned by a system that swallows dreams whole. I speak for thousands, not actually millions, silently suffering under a regime of daylight robbery. Allow me now to tell about my payslip. Yes, that's small. Nice of paper that bears my most personal details. I used to look at loving every month end, but it has now become a source of nightmare for me. In Kenya today, every month employers deduct PAYE, let me say like that, NSSF, and SHIF, and other deduction rate of our pay slips, but do not remind them, effectively stealing our future while smiling and glad in their expensive venture. Insurance companies drain our premium and then collapse, leaving grieving family with nothing. Government and rogue recruitment agencies sell our young people a lie about job maju, sending them into war zone to fight wars that have nothing to do with Kenya. I consider this modern day slavery dressed up as opportunity. These are not isolated tragedies, they are our realities. Imagine a mother who has for 40 years seen NSSF deducted from her wages, but who upon retirement is denied her retirement benefit because her ledge is empty. Imagine a young man who, desperate for work, sign up with recruiter and find himself in conflict zone halfway across the world. This is human trafficking under another name. In Kenya today, we face over taxation and too many levies that choke our take-home pay and small enterprise. An education funding model that paradoxically punish parents who sacrifice everything to put their children through school, recasting them as able to pay, while the same parents struggle to keep the roof over their children's head. Merit has become performative. Young people study hard, get good grades, and are still passed over for jobs because recruiting is driven by patronage, not ability. Meanwhile, multinational companies are shutting down, plugging thousands into joblessness overnight. The result is a wasteland of scattered talent and surge in communal and generation depression. In Kenya today, we buy substandard fuel that damage engines and occasion repairs whose cost subsides the purchase price of the vehicles themselves. We buy sugar and other stubble that are adulterated, risking health and putting hustlers in greater peril. These are not mere consumer complaints. They are assault on the fragile finance of the family scrapped to survive. Dear ones, we are always reminded that there is nothing more important than a good, safe, secure home. I agree. And this is why the idea of affordable housing was music to my overworked ears when I first heard about it. A few years down the line, this music had become dressing. It was introduced as bridge to help citizens cross over from lifelong tenant into proud homeowners. A promise that led many to accept painful housing levy deduction from their payslip, sustained by the hope of eventually owning a home. Yet what is now unfolding is a profound disappointment that has into a marriage. The very citizens whose sweat and sacrifice are financing the program have been gravely shortchanged in the funding and home acquisition processes. Not only they being required to dig deeper into their pocket to pay mandatory deposit and the full purchase, also compete vigorously for the limited units available. There is fairness in all this. Okay, let me ask a question. Where is fairness in all this? That's my question. Before you judge me harshly, let me narrate to you what pained me the most: our healthcare. It pains more than the pain of sickness itself, for it starts way before the pain of sickness set in. When a patient with early stage cancer is turned away because the public system cannot provide timely diagnosis of treatment and is told to return only when the disease is advanced enough to qualify for certain investment, the stage become a complaint in needless suffering. This is moral failure. Life-saving care delays life lost. Our hospital must capacitated and survive expanded instead medicine, guaranteed, not reassured by bureaucracy, cruelty. Oh God. These scripts are not abstract policy brief. They are the daily reality that strip dignity from people who have done everything expected of them. Work hard, pay dues, raise children, obey the law. Every Labor Day, promises are made, and every year the same streaks are returned with the same delays. I humbly request that before new promises are made, first implement the 6% wage increase you promised. These are not partisan demands, but the plea for the basic humanity. Let this letter prick the conscience of the state and anyone who reads it. Let even the coolest of heart be moved by the image of a worker denied the passion he earned. A child denied university because funding model mistakes sacrificed as wealth. A patient sent home to die slowly while hospital machines and budget gather dust. Leadership is measured by law, by how we protect the weakest when systems fail them. It leaks acts decisively. We will not only restore livelihood and trust, we will restore the dignity of work and reaffirm that Kenya is a country that keeps its promise. If we delay, the social contract will continue to fray and the price will be paid in ruined lives. I must pen off now because I'm tired. We are tired. We are asking not for charity but justice, fairness, and the honest implementation of endless promises. We demand action now so that when Kenyans ask what happened to the promises, they can get answers. Yes, answers backed with fact, not more promises. Yours sincerely, Coach Berin from Aquapro.
Let us give a hearty round of applause for that letter. I think that letter needs to, Coach Berin, the letter needs to be here. For those who don't know how to swim, please talk to Coach Berin. She will take you through. And for your information, Coach Berin is one of the ladies who was dismissed unfairly from her work. And as a union, we had taken up her matter. It's in court. And the person seated next to you, you guys in the same fate, you can catch up.
Let us all stand up for a round of applause as I invite His Excellency Rigathe Gachagua. Your Excellency, karibu sana, and Coach Berin, I come and hand it over to His Excellency. Tumpigie makofi. Your Excellency, karibu sana.
His Excellency now getting to the podium to receive that letter from our coach. She shared her tribulations, what she's gone through as a worker, hardworking Kenyans doing the best to fly the Kenyan flag high, and of course, sharing the tribulations through the union. Welcome, Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you. Please be seated. Invited guests and patriotic Kenyans, we gather here today to reflect on the concluded Labor Day celebrations in Kenya on 1st May 2026. The workers of Kenya are expected to get relief and hope. All they received were false promises repeated year after year. Historically, Labor Days are rooted in the understanding that the dignity of every worker is a public good that must be protected at all costs. Fair pay, decent work environment, decent treatment, and worker solidarity must stem. The struggles of one of us are the struggles of all of us. Unfortunately, here in Kenya, most of the workers are on their own. We have a labor union led by a Secretary General, sorry to say, a professional broker who dines with every government in power for his selfish interests. On 1st May 2026, when he should have agitated for the rights of the Kenyan worker, he was seen dancing very happily with the oppressors shouting "two term." What a shame. I have nothing against dancing. I love dancing myself. But I believe dancing is an act of happiness. So how one gets the temerity, the courage to dance when the people you lead are crying, they are in anguish, shocks all of us. More than 20 million Kenyans wake up every morning and go to work. These great and patriotic Kenyans, for far too long, have remained unheard. To many of them, a job does not mean a decent life. This is not born of any personal failure of their own, but the result of policy choices, a pure creation of a regime that cares not. The government and some labor unions like KOTU are busy creating 50 billionaires and 55 million poor Kenyans in a spat of 3.5 years. If you remember the late J.M. Kariuki, who was assassinated on the 2nd of March 1975, he talked of a country of 10 millionaires and 10 million beggars. 50 years down the line, we now have 50 billionaires and 55 million poor Kenyans and 1 trillionaire. You know him. Patriotic Kenyans, dear workers of Kenya, it is painfully worrying when about 500,000 teachers cannot access medical care and the functionless SHA forced through their nose. A demotivated teacher is disastrous to the quality of learning in our schools. Who is speaking for the teachers? Where are the unions? Where is NAT? Where is Kupet? They are silent. They can't speak because their mouths are full. They are observing table manners that says when your mouth is full, you don't speak. They can't speak and they don't speak because their mouths are full. They are dining with the oppressor. When our police officers are subjected to this unhealthy shower, we feel more insecure as a country and pity our men and women in uniform. Who is speaking for our men and women in uniform? When Gikomba, Githurai, Karioko, Kongea, Huruma, Lubao, or Lodwar markets go up in flames or die under heavy taxation, or a driver is deactivated from an Uber or a boat platform without recourse, it is their entire households that pay the price. Their families suffer irreparable pain. About 4 out of every 5 workers and they are living in the informal economy. Informal workers in Kenya remain marginally excluded from the national planning, socially unprotected, and functionally exploited. Who hears the plight of Mama Fua, who most of the time is overworked and underpaid? Despite the 938,000 posts across government ministries, parastatals and county governments, the public wage bill takes up roughly 35% of the national revenue. Yet, despite this, too many households still struggle to pay rent, buy medicine, keep children in school, and plan for their future. The question is why? There was a time when the payslip meant something in this country. It held the dignity of the Kenyan, of the working Kenyan. It was evidence that you had shown up, done some work, and earned your keep. Today, the payslip does not show what you earn. It shows what you cannot afford. Between pay as you earn, SHA, NSSF, the housing levy, and other statutory deductions, between 30 to 45% of a worker's gross pay is gone before it ever reaches their hands. It makes matters worse. Were it not for the public outcry in the run-up to the 10th August 2027 elections, William Ruto intended to introduce the National Infrastructure Fund levy. This would have seen deductions on the workers' payslips rise up to 50% of their hard-earned pay. It is a matter he plans to revisit in the unfortunate event he secures a second term. Workers be forewarned. With a mutilated payslip by William Ruto, the Kenyan worker has been denied spending power in a historic high. No wonder the economy of our nation has dipped from 7.6% growth in 2021 to the current 4.6%. Numbers do not lie. I'm aware William Ruto is disputing these figures that have been released by a department in his own government. A department in his own government has released figures telling the people of Kenya how the economy is performing. And he is saying those numbers are a lie. I'm told that the guy in charge of that department will soon face the sack for daring to tell the people of Kenya the truth. Hata mkisima stima tutaendelea tu. Oh, great. See the skyrocketing fuel prices, high inflation rates, high lending rates, increased crime rates, among others. And the Ruto regime remains unbothered, unbothered. To them, the Kenyan is an extremely happy person. What a regime. Patriotic Kenyans, we must ask why other workers of the country are being put through this pain. Is it worth it? You only need to look at the affordable housing levy. Some are calling it the avoidable housing levy. And I think we need to, next year, to shift from affordable housing levy to avoidable. Look at the affordable housing levy to see that the government is taking from its citizens without giving them what they promised. Billions of shillings have been squeezed from the payslips of Kenyans without due accountability. These are not voluntary deductions, rather deductions forced by William Ruto to the Kenyan worker through the National Assembly. Audit reports show large sums parked in private or intermediary accounts, earning interest that lines the pockets of one individual. The State Department of Housing has no capacity to absorb these funds. It's too much money that has been taken from workers forcibly, and the State Department has no capacity to absorb those funds. So these funds deducted from workers of Kenya are stashed in William Ruto's Sydian Bank that has exponentially grown to level extraordinary. For instance, in the financial year 2022, deposits of this bank before Ruto bought it were only 25.4 billion. After he bought it in 2023, they increased by 9% to 27.6 billion, reflecting organic growth from the legacy retail and SME base. In 2024, William Ruto's deposits gotten forcibly from the Kenyan workers continued to accelerate and rose to 44 billion shillings, a jump of about 60.8% year on year as the bank began onboarding bigger institutional and government-linked accounts. In the 2025 financial year, the deposit base surged again by 6.29 to 63.0% to a whopping 72.3 billion, nearly tripling the ED 2023 level and leaving Sydian with roughly 1.8% of all the industry deposits, a shift largely attributed to a wave of new public sector deposit through conflict of interest and state capture. Even the county government of Nairobi have been forced to take their deposits to Sydian Bank. And by the way, Sydian Bank is on the third tier of the banking industry. The agreed policy of government is that all government funds should be put in tier 1. That is ABSA, Equity, Cooperative Bank, Standard, Cooperative. And most of these are government banks, so you want government money to be put in government banks so that the profit can benefit the Kenyan people. William Ruto has directed that all funds are taken to his bank, Sydian. It's the worst act of conflict of interest and state capture witnessed in the history of independent Kenya. And the victim, the Kenyan worker. And then the man who is supposed to fight for the workers is dancing happily before the oppressor, singing songs of praise, and the choir master or the praise and worship team of the king. Oh, you wonderful man. You've done so well for the Kenyan workers. We are so happy, we don't know what we could do without you. Never mind, you have deducted everything from us, we still love you. You are the best president ever, and you must get another term. We don't want to imagine how Kenya would be without you. The Kenyan workers love you. They may be crying here and there, but the love for you is undoubted. This level of sycophancy and praise worship is what the workers of Kenya must deal with very decisively. The consequences of financial misadventure on the Kenyan worker are immediate and painfully familiar. Families miss rent payments. Children are sent home from school for unpaid fees. Families have no meals on their table, while households delay or forego medical treatment because there is no money. Patriotic Kenyans, the affordable housing levy shows how a government can take from people without giving them what was promised. Since its inception in July 2023, the scheme has drawn significant resources from the public. There are real resources painfully raised from teachers, nurses, drivers, and other workers. For contributors, however, the levy often feels like just another automatic deduction, money taken from payslips with no clear guarantee of a home, no clear timeline, and little feasible accountability. Similarly, the Morning Star, infamously known as the Social Health Authority, SHA, was sold to Kenyans as a path to universal health care. By August 2025, hospitals across this country had submitted claims totaling 98 billion Kenya shillings. When you add the 33 billion uncleared arrears inherited from NHIF, the total debt is astronomical. And these failures are not restricted to our healthcare, but they have been infected our education and higher education systems as well. Public universities are carrying debts estimated between 67.8 billion to 72.4 billion Kenya shillings as of mid-2025. The new and failed higher educational funding model has disrupted access for more than 100,000 university students and left institutions with cash flow gaps. Students in our universities face uncertain times. Voices from our students and lecturers show that majority of students are going without a meal. The consequence is a cyclical industry action, strikes that interrupted learning, and a future workforce whose trading and prospects are uncertain. A future workforce whose formation is being disrupted year after year by the same failures. We cannot discuss workers without addressing the informal sector. About 4 out of 5 workers earn their living in the informal economy. Informal work absorbs nearly all new jobs created annually, accounting for about 86% of new opportunities. It is the backbone of our everyday life. Take border riders, for instance. 2 million of them keep our cities moving and supporting shops, markets, and deliveries, generating roughly 660 billion Kenya shillings a year, about 4.4% of the GDP. Yet their work remains risky. It is just the first quarter of 2025. There were 431 reported deaths and 5,856 serious injuries from motorcycle crashes, roughly 5 lives lost every day, imposing about Kenya shillings 50 billion a year in medical and family costs. Likewise, Uber, Bolt, Wasili, Faraz, Taxify, Little Cab drivers face their own challenges. Platforms take 20 to 25% in commissions. Many net under 100 shillings an hour off peak, despite 10 to 14 hours shifts, and a single unexplained deactivation can wipe out a family's income overnight. We have a world of a system that extracts the maximum amount of labor from a person while giving them the minimum power to protect themselves. This unfair pay is a modern day slavery. This is a system that causes children to miss school, workers failing to afford treatment, and families failing into debt. There must be justice for up workers. For instance, Uber alone has reported over 130,000 drivers in Nairobi and more than 1 billion riders annually, underscoring the density and economic importance of the platform ecosystem within a single metropolitan area. Our private sector is under pressure too. Small and medium enterprise remains fragile. For instance, the private security industry, which employs more than 1.3 million guards through the 789 licensed security firms, face structural risks from proposals to substitute their services with national youth service personnel, a change that could displace thousands of workers and destabilize the entire sector without a clear transition plan. patriotic Kenyans and workers, and there is labor migration, the job Maju phenomenon. The government tells us that between 300 and 500 Kenyans leave Kenya each week seeking work abroad. That is 15,600, 26,000 annually. Of course, you all know is a lie. That kind of movement at the airport would have been noticed by everybody. This is another mirage. This is driven by a youth unemployment rate of 35% and a domestic economy that cannot absorb nearly 1 million new entrants each year. But what jobs do they go to do in these countries? The Kenyan workers in the Middle East are going through modern day slavery. They are distressed, they are abused, they are persecuted, they are dehumanized. Kenyans are being conscripted into Russian and Ukraine military without their consent. To date, we have thousands of Kenyans unaccounted for, others in dangerous war zone and indecent work as the Ruto regime demands that Kenyans clap their hands for them. Many Kenyans have lost their lives in the Russian war. Many parents are in anguish. They don't know where their children are. And we have a government that doesn't care. If any Kenyan must be taken to work anywhere in the world, let it be decent. Work with equal pay for equal work done. I want to assure the Kenyan worker and every Kenyan that we are in an unstoppable journey to bring back better our nation. We are on a course to restore the dignity of the Kenyan payslip and the Kenyan worker. Our workers must be happy again. Every Kenyan worker, and every Kenyan for that matter, deserves dignity and honor. Every Kenyan deserves to live a good life. And I must add that the Kenyan worker is in distress, feeling helpless, not knowing what to do, abandoned by the union leaders, oppressed by a government elected into office. And we have a lot of problems in families. Depression has set in. Suicide is on the rise. Families are breaking up because of distress of the Kenyan worker after their payslips have been raided by William Ruto. I want to give the Kenyan worker a message of hope this morning. All is not lost. In another 15 months, you'll have an opportunity to have a referendum question in the general election. The Kenyan worker must go to the polling station with a referendum question. Do I, a Kenyan worker, want to restore the dignity of my payslip or not? The payslip holders about 3.5 million. From my own assessment, every payslip holder has a minimum influence of 2 other people. 2. So the worker plus the 2 is 10.5 million Kenyans. If these 10.5 million Kenyans turn up at 5 a.m. on 10th of August 2027, without many other questions, just having one question and make the election a referendum for the Kenyan worker, and go to the ballot and ask, do I want to restore the dignity of my payslip, or do I want the oppressor to continue raiding my payslip and subjecting me to poverty and humiliation? The election will be over. 10.5 million Kenyans who turns up with a personal agenda, not ethnicity, not ideology, nothing, personal. This man has raided my payslip. I need to get rid of him and get somebody else who can restore the dignity of my payslip. I want to tell the Kenyan workers this morning that the fate of your payslip rests squarely in your hands. you will have an opportunity next year to participate in reclaiming the dignity of your payslip. I want to ask all Kenyan workers, all payslip holders, to ensure they have registered as a voter and they have influenced and persuaded 2 others to do the same. The 10.5 million payslip holders and their friends and relatives will join the rest of Kenyans. Not just restoring the dignity of the payslip, but also restoring the Kenyan nation, creating good governance where there is accountability and transparency. So the ball is in the court of the Kenyan worker. You cannot continue crying as if you are helpless. You are not. Much as you are suffering in dignity, much as you feel suffocated, you have a chance in another 14, 15 months to be an active participant in deciding your own fate and how you want to be governed and how you want your payslip to look like. Secondly, the people entrusted to speak for the Kenyan workers have abandoned them. The Atwolis of this world are a disgrace to the Kenyan worker. I cannot understand how workers every year, every time there is an election for Kotu, they go and vote back this Mzee. I can't understand. And he's just after his own stomach. I remember when we came into office with William Ruto in 2022, this Atwoli had been on record campaigning for Azimio and actually advising William Ruto to look for a tree in Sugoi where he'll hang himself because he will lose. I couldn't believe it when I found him in State House when we went in. And he was there laughing and dancing on the corridor. He was brought by Musalia and Wetangula to see William Ruto. And I asked William Ruto, how come Atwoli is here? I thought this man was saying that you should look for a tree in your compound to hang because you cannot be president. He laughed sheepishly and told me, Rigathe, you don't seem to understand this country. Every man has a price. He's Atwoli. He's a useless fellow. He just wants money. That's why he's here. And it has happened. He has abandoned the workers. He is now the lead praise singer of the William Ruto praise and worship team. He's the lead soloist. He sings with both bass and soprano. To praise a man who has made the lives of workers hell. To sing praises to a man who has impoverished Kenyan workers. To affirm a man who have made workers beggars in their own country. The workers of Kenya, since you seem to be unable to remove this man, my proposal to Kenyan workers is about time we created another alternative organization to champion the rights of the Kenyan workers so that workers have a choice. They don't have to be in court. I want to urge you to start forming that body. I know William Ruto, through the Registrar of Trade Unions, will frustrate the registration of that organization. But again, mine is just to assure you, get your paperwork in order, get the members in order. Next year, in October, when we are in office, we shall register the new organization that will champion the interest of the Kenyan worker. So today I don't want to talk anything outside the workers. Mine is just to feel bad of the shame our country continue being subjected to internationally. You know the embarrassment we have faced as a country because of rebel leaders in Sudan being accommodated here in Kenya and being given diplomatic passports, where Kenya, in exchange of gold, is giving arms to RSF in Sudan that are used to kill women and children in Darfur. Internationally, we are very embarrassed. But the embarrassment of the Kenyan nation yesterday in Tanzania is very painful. William Ruto has launched fake projects here in Kenya. He keeps announcing projects that do not exist. The man has become so bold that he is now announcing non-existent projects in a neighboring country. You know, it's so embarrassing to our country that a president from Kenya goes to Tanzania to announce that there will be a project in Tanga for oil refinery when the president of the country is not even aware of such a project. You know, it's a kind of insolence, impunity. You know, he has lied to Kenyans so much that he has no qualms about going to lie to the people of Tanzania. How do you go to a neighboring country to announce a project that is non-existent? And even the president of that country is complaining. At least Mama Suluhu, she is a very bad dictator who has blood on her hands. And we are happy that the International Criminal Court is slowly cornering her. But at least, despite being a brutal dictator, she had the decency to say, no, this is too much of a lie. You know? She's a terrible dictator, but at least she has some kind of conscience that it is wrong for a country, for a president from a different country to come and announce a non-existent project. So that's a kind of indignity that we continue to suffer as a country. But the beautiful part of it is that it's only for a time. For 14, 15 months and it's over. And I want to assure you, it will be over. There will be transformation. There will be new leadership in this country. A leadership that cares for the people of Kenya. A leadership that cares for the dignity of the Kenyan worker. A leadership that cannot kill young children. A leadership that cannot say that young people should be shot in the leg. A leadership that respects the sanctity of human life. A leadership that will not allow looting of public resources, because all these resources are for the people of Kenya. So mimi nimeshukuru sana, and I want to tell wafanyikazi wote tutatembea pamoja. Tutatembea pamoja. Mimi si ati mimi niko kazini. Ni mshahara peke yake sina, lakini niko kazini. I have work to do. I have work to do. And I'm working very hard. I don't sleep. I have work to do. I'm a man on a mission. I must correct the mistake that I made. I am highly responsible for misleading the people of Kenya to elect William Ruto. I mobilized millions of supporters to elect him. He deceived me and deceived the people of Kenya. I must therefore play an even bigger role in correcting the situation, because that is what fairness is all about. If you play a very active role in creating a mistake and you realize that that mistake has been created and many people have suffered as a result, you have a responsibility to play an even greater role in correcting that mistake. That is the kind of passion that I have, and a responsibility to the people of Kenya. Regarding Gachagua, you played a great role in putting Kenya in the mess it is in. Please play an even greater role in getting us out of this mess. That we shall do. That we shall do. I saw another Ruto sycophant on TV saying that Rigathe Gachagua cannot be anything in this country, or he cannot even be in the school captain of Kenya High School. You know, many people do not understand leadership. There are many types of leadership. There is charismatic leadership, the one of Jomo Kenyatta and Kwame Nkrumah. There is traditional leadership, the one of Luada Magere. There is positional leadership, the one of Daniel Arap Moi and William Ruto. But there is also functional leadership, where you are a leader without any position, but you are a man of great influence. Rigathe Gachagua is a functional leader. He requires no position to guide the people of Kenya in the right direction. I am a functional leader. Whether I have a position or not is immaterial, is totally irrelevant. I'll play my role in restoring this country without any position as a functional leader. And if you wanted to know what functional leadership is all about, look at the national conversation. In every meeting in Kenya, Rigathe Gachagua is subject of conversation. You cannot be nothing. How come everybody is discussing you and you hold no position in this country? It's because it's the strength of functional leadership. That's what we are, and that's how we shall help this country get back to sensible leadership and a functional democracy and a working economy and a strong, jovial, motivated workforce. That I promise we shall give to the people of Kenya. Thank you very much. Mwenyezi Mungu ambariki. God bless every Kenyan worker. God bless Kenya.
Asante, His Excellency, the Second Deputy President. Sasa ataelekea pale aweze kukata ribbon on the right hand side, where he will be joined by Mr. Fazul Mohammed na vile vile viongozi wengine waweze kukata ile ribbon, so that now we can officially we are ready for the countdown to launch the Kenya Labour Market and Workers Welfare Report. Launch. Atakata tu ribbon on a count of 5, 3, 4, 2, 1, and let's go. Launch. Tutasonga nyuma kidogo ili tuweze kuona that official launch of the Kenya Labour Market and Worker Welfare. Pale wapiga picha, shangwe, vigelegele, tupige makofi. A wonderful job on accountability and supervising and ensuring the welfare. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. Tutangoja kidogo baada ya kuchukua kitabu kile. Mr. Fazul Mohammed, Your Excellency, tutakuja kwa stage, tutasonga kwa stage, so that we are able to have a full display of the report. Your Excellency will be at the center. Viongozi wengine tutapanga right and left. The Kenyan workers, the coach bearing, tusonge karibu ili tuweze kumpa ripoti. Coach is here. Atakaribia. So what they hold is the Kenya Labour Market and Workers Welfare Report. Hii report inaeleza zaidi maswala na shida za workers. Tumesema leo ni siku ya reflection of what is intended to be the Labor Day, mahali tunatetea mwananchi ambaye ni mfanyakazi wa Kenya, lakini malalamiko yanaendelea kuzidi, hawawakilishwi sawa. Nayefaa viongozi wanaofaa kuwakilisha, basi wanakuwa wanachelewa, wanaendelea kujituza wao wenyewe badala ya kuhakikisha. So we are okay now, members of the fourth estate, tunashukuru. Viongozi sawa sawa, tutakuwa na wimbo wa national anthem where His Excellency and the leaders will remain up on tutakuwa natupa wimbo wa national anthem kidogo. Asante sana, basi tutamruhusu His Excellency. Tunaweza ondoka sasa kwa hiari tukiwa na shukran, tunapoendelea kuangazia the welfare of the Kenyan worker. Asante.